Alrighty, Roo. Let's get started. Lesson 14 is one of those standalone lessons. There's no roots. It's just 8 words. So because there's no roots and it's just 8 words, we're going to have a quiz this Friday over these 8 words and other previous roots. Okay, and it will be mastery. So if you look at the vocab pages, it has an example for each one. And so we're going to just define it. And in our definition, we're going to try to give examples so that you guys can see what they are. These are all language artsy terms. So you have probably heard at least half of them before. So the very first one is abbreviation. Has anybody heard that one before? What's abbreviation? Yeah, like a shortened version of a word. Yep. A shortening of a word. And then some examples are like Mrs., Mr., Doctor, okay? LOL, abbreviation. When we did Drums, Girls, Dangerous Pie, I always wrote on the board DGDP, okay? So an abbreviation is just a shortened version of something. So the example that the book has is doctor, and it's right there, DR period. All right, the next word is an acronym. So the definition or the example that they have in the book is an acronym is a word that can be pronounced formed from the tips of the first or syllable of other words. So essentially you take a word, you take a phrase, and then you take the first letters and you turn it into a word. So it says radar is an acronym for radio detecting and ranging. NASA, we say NASA, right? NASA stands for the beginning of words, and I can't quite remember what specifically they are. National something space. That's Mrs. Kane not being very knowledgeable, but I'm giving you an example. Yeah, well, but we don't say, like we say the letters NFL. It has to turn into a word. Another one is like AIDS. AIDS is a broken down, it's a word that we say, but that's autoimmune deficiency syndrome, but it turns into a word. So I'm going to give you the definition here, and then we're going to look for some more examples, okay? So we have a word made from the beginning of each word of a phrase. And I'll put in here examples, radar, AIDS, NASA. The next word is adage. So if we look at the example, it says, my grandpa always uses the adage, a penny saved is a penny earned. He quotes this well-known saying to teach me about managing my money. So an adage is a wise saying that is commonly used. And he said a penny saved is a penny earned. Don't count your chickens before they hatch is one. Which means like don't get too excited and thinking this is going to happen when it's not actually happening, that kind of thing. So an adage is something that people use to give advice, and we've heard it probably before. The next word is bibliography. This is something that you guys have made, but you guys call it a works cited page. It says the essay included a bibliography which listed the sources the writer had used. So a bibliography is a list of books and sources. We'll just say a list of books and sources. And then we'll put in parentheses, essays have a works cited page or a bibliography. All right, next word is footnote, and it says whenever the author quoted a source, she included a footnote, a note at the bottom of the page or a note at the foot of a page to show the page and the source from which the quotation came. I'm going to say this, those of you who read The Landlady, one of the words said the bitter taste of almonds while he was taking the drink, right? and it said the bitter taste of almonds, and there was a little tiny letter or number right next to that, and that would have directed you to the footnote that said the bitter taste of almonds is poison, and that would have allowed us to know that he was being poisoned. So if we look at the footnote, a lot of times it gives us clues for what we're reading, okay? So a footnote is a note at the bottom of a page, including extra information. The landlady had a footnote about the poison he consumed. The next word is idiom, and the book page says to catch a cold is an idiom that means to become ill with a cold. You don't actually grab a glove and catch it, right? It says an idiom is an expression that does not mean exactly what it says. You just have to know what it means. So if I say, it is raining cats and dogs out there, what does that mean? It's raining hard, right? That is something we all just know what it means. There's not actually cats and dogs flying from the sky. That might be terrifying. So an idiom is a commonly used phrase that is not literal, but people know what it means. So some examples of that are to catch a cold, raining cats and dogs, bend over backwards means you're helping somebody. If I'm going to help somebody, I'm not actually bending over backwards. That would hurt also. So an oxymoron, if we look at the example that the book gives us, it says bittersweet is an oxymoron because the word suggests two opposite things. How can something be bitter and sweet? So just like we were saying, jumbo shrimp, how could something be jumbo but also quite shrimpy? And when you say, well, you're pretty ugly, you can't be pretty and ugly at the same time, right? So an oxymoron is, it's an expression that has two opposite meanings. All right, the last one is palindrome. It says a palindrome, such as Madame, I am Adam, reads the same forward and backwards. So you can split it in half and it has the same letters this way and that way. Other examples are dad. So if you split it, it's D-A-D, but then backwards is D-A-D. Peep, P-E-E-P, and stats, S-T-A-T-S. So it's like the exact thing on both sides. So a palindrome is the same, is a phrase or a word that is the same forwards and backwards. And then so we have dad, mom would be one. Hannah is one, yep. That is. I got to write that down. Race car is one. So your assignment for this week is going to be due on Wednesday. It is in the vocab folder on Schoology. It is the second one down, okay? And the activities look different because they're very, first of all, you're not going to be able to find a picture of an acronym. It's just not going to work. So we did one for you. So you only have 7. But you have to make sure that you are very specific with your example. So the first, it says for each one, the first part of it, you have to define the word. What is the definition? Well, we all did those together. The second part says, write a sentence with the vocabulary word underlined in the sentence and include an example where you would see the word used. So for example, when I go to idiom, my sentence could be, It was raining so hard, I used the idiom, quote, it's raining cats and dogs, quote, and then I could underline idiom. So I have an example and the word in the sentence. Here's where it's going to get tricky. I know I gave you a lot of examples. I would like you to not use every single example that we did in class. Try to go out and find some extra examples because, again, that's really going to help you understand these terms. So for abbreviation, you're still going to have to fill in the definition for abbreviation. But when I got my dream job of being a doctor, I acquired the abbreviation, see how it's underlined, doctor, there it is, DR with a period, at the beginning of my name. Okay, so we're going to give you 10, 15 minutes to work on this. This is due on Wednesday. And like we said, you will have a mastery quiz on Friday over these words. All right, get to work.